So, hi everyone. My name is Jaleese, and of course, this is Infinite Modesty Design. All right. So, in this video, I want us to make a bucket hat, and this time we're making it live, very much live. So, I am going to be making a bucket hat. You could wait, maybe with a dress you made, or you could make you could wait anyhow. All right. So the pattern, the sewing pattern is actually below. I'm going to show you how it is if you're interested in the sewing pattern. All right. So the sewing pattern has numbers. You could get it in the link in the description below. It has number 1, number 2, number 3. So number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Okay. So what I would say here, when you download the pattern itself, you want to ensure that you make a mark. This is one, but this one here, you want to take a ruler to make a line here. So just to kind of help you to see way to connect. Number 2, make a line here. 3 and 4. Okay. So when you cut it out, number 1 connect with number 2. So let me just kind of explain what I mean here. So number 1 here. So this one here connect with 2. Sorry, this one here connect with 3. I apologize. So this one here, it connects with 3. So 3 here, you will stick them together. And then number 4 here connect with number 2. So you would actually see how it connects together. Okay, so I have them here. So I'm going to put this down. I have them here all cut out in a pattern. I'm going to actually, so this is number 1, the full one. And then we have number 1 here, connect with number 3 here. And we also have 4 and 2 connected together. So I'm going to move my screen itself so you could actually see exactly what I'm talking about. So hopefully everyone could see me well. I'm going to make sure you could see me well here. All right, so this is it here. So this is the pattern itself here. For the first one, you want to cut 2, right? So I have 1 because I already pre-made a bucket hat here. So it's the same thing I'll be doing here for this one. It's the exact same thing. It's just that you had to do it twice, okay? And if you want, you could actually mix and match the hat itself. Like for this one here I have, right? You could wait on both sides. So that's what I mean. You could actually put 2 different fabric itself in order to wear it different style. So anyway, let's get started. So this here, you want to cut 2 because it's tell us to cut 2 here. According to our follow our grain line, we cut 2. Now this is the middle. It actually says middle here for this one. And it says cut 4. So you want to make sure you cut 4 pieces. So I have 2 pieces. Like I mentioned, I did make 1 already, and it's the same exact way we will be making this one itself. And then we have the brim here now. This is it here. And again, you want to cut 4. It tells us how many to cut. You also want to put interfacing. So I have put interfacing here. I may have a link where you can actually get some of the lightweight interfacing and you iron it on. But if you don't have interface, it's not a must. Okay. All right. So let's get started with putting everything together. So I'm going to go one by one. I'm going to work with this last. So I'm going to put it aside. And now I'm going to work with the brim and the middle part. Okay. So first I'm going to work with the middle part first. Take it out. And I'm going to go right sides to right side. So I'm going to put it right sides to right side like this. And then I'm going to use my pin itself. And I am going to pin it down. So pin it down on both sides. All right. So just you could actually put some more pins, of course. So I'm going to pin it down on this side as well. And it goes both ways. So this one here, that is the middle part here. Okay, guys. And then we have this one here. This is the brim itself. That's the bottom of the hat itself, like the bottom of the hat here. Okay. So I'm going to, again, we're going to turn right sides to right side. So I'm going to put this down here. Take this piece and I'm going to put it on it here. And I'm going to pin it on this side. So the purpose of me doing live, I just want to show you this. So it's not a hard project. It's something that you could actually start. And you would actually see me doing the live to see how, how long it could take you itself to start and finish, it within a couple, in an hour or so. Okay. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do here now, so this is, again, I'm just going to bring it back here. This is the brim here. This is the middle part here, okay? So I'm going to bring my sewing machine now, and I'm going to sew this side down, and I'm going to sew this side down 1/2 inch. Now, if you're making it for a child, you have the different adult size, child, toddler, baby size. So you have the different sizes here. So you could actually follow the sizes accordingly. Depends on who you're making the hat for in general, okay? So just like this, you have the different lines, and it's in color, so you could actually see who you're making it for. All right, so let's go ahead and just sew this down 1/2 inch on both sides first. So I have my machine here set up. It's a Singer heavy duty machine. I'm just gonna put one at a time. So we're gonna sew the middle part first. Let me make sure that you can see well. Okay, so the middle part we're gonna sew first. And again, I'm just gonna go 1/2 inch seam allowance down. Okay, hold on. Make sure everything is all set here. Okay. Always take out your pin as you sew. So have your pin cushion close by as you sew. So I'm gonna just switch it here so we'll get this part immediately. Take out my pins. And there you go. So I sewed this side down. Right, so I sewed this side down already. So this is the middle part. It's already done. Put it aside here. Now I'm gonna sew this side here now, okay? So again, like I said, 1/2 inch down. We're gonna go 1/2 inch down and take out your pins as you sew, okay? Got your pins as you sew. Now, we do offer local sewing classes as well, guys, for those who are living in the Toronto, Brampton area. We are relocating our classes to Brampton. And we make it very reasonable for those who want to keep sewing, all right? So this is done. I'm going to put the machine aside. I'm going to put the machine aside here. I'm going to put this back here so you can know where we are, right? I'm going to trim out my threads here. Show my thread is trim out nicely here. Okay. So now always trim your thread just to make sure you don't get tied up as you're sewing in the sewing machine. All right. Good stuff. So this part is down here, guys. So the next thing I'm going to do here now, I'm going to turn this aside. I'm going to turn this actually upside down. And I'm going to open up the seam. So see the seam here? You could go ahead and iron this seam, but again, on the live, I wouldn't iron. I'm just going to hand iron. So it's like I'm washing it, something like that. So I'm opening up the seam this side, and I'm going to open up the seam on, of course, this side here. Okay. All right. So I open the seam down, and be conscious of how you put it down. So always use your pattern to know this is the top, this is the bottom. Okay. So that's why I keep on having this to kind of show you where we are. So the same thing for this one here. Now I'm going to open up my seam, and I'm going to turn it around. Okay. So open up my seam nicely. Open up my seam nicely. And I'm going to turn it around fully. So making sure my seam is open. And then, of course, you could always go ahead and iron it down. All right. Now I'm going to turn it nicely, just like this. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to use my pattern to know exactly where I am. So I know this is the down side itself, right? And then this here now would be my top side. So again, just to kind of bring it up here to see, they would see something like this, right? That's where it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do here now, this is my notch. Just ensure that you do nip your notch once you're sewing to kind of help you as you go along. This is also my notch as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the brim aside, and I'm going to put the middle part aside. All right. So I know this is the brim, this is the middle part. Now I'm going to do right sides touching right sides. Okay. So I'm going to take this here, and I am going to fold it up like this. So I'm trying to make it that it's very easy to understand. Okay. So I'm going to take this here and just match it notch to notch, fold it right sides to right sides this way. And I'm going to pin it, of course, on the wrong side. All right. So I'm going to pin it on the wrong side. Very good. So I know it's this way. Okay. All right. Now, so I pin it on the wrong side. So the same thing I will take for this side here now. And I'm going to pin it on the other side. Okay. So this is pinned to this side. All right. So I'm going to pin this, of course, to the other side here. So this side to the other side, right side touching right side. So I'm going to just flip it over. It may look a little awkward. So that's all good. And now I'm going to flip it over now. And make sure I have my knots so I could know where I am. And knots actually really help you. If you forget to do the notch, you could actually just fold it up to know where's the middle part. But when you do the notch, it makes life a bit easier. Okay, so now I'm going to fold it down like this. Because I already have it pinned. And now I'm going to pin seam to seam now. Okay, so remember we did open our seam earlier. Again, you could always iron down the seam. Right, and I'm gonna pin it, of course, seam to seam. Very important to pin it seam to seam. So I'm gonna go seam to seam, making sure it's nice and tailored, and I'm gonna pin it up. Okay, because when you sew your hat, you want to make sure that the seam all match nice and dandy. There you go. All right, so the same thing I'm gonna do on this side again, making sure it's seam to seam, match seam to seam nicely here. Right, and then open it up like this. And then again, I want to match it seam to seam right here. Then I'm going to take my pin. I'm going to get a straight pin, of course. And then I'm going to match it. So when you're doing seam to seam, make sure you push the pin exactly through the seam. Make sure it come out through the seam. Right? And then you push it back to the other side through the seam again. Okay? And you match it up and you bring it up and make sure it's seam to seam. So when you finish your hat, at least all the seams are matching. Okay. So I have it like this, guys. Kind of look funny. But now I'm going to just put a couple pins around. Okay, so there's a lot of pinning. Now, if you go and you want to just sew it around like that, you could go ahead. But because I like to tell my students it's a circle, circle could be a little bit challenging. You just want to make sure you settle it down with a pin. So pin, sewing clips, all those could be just fine as well. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple pins here, and then we're going to go back on the sewing machine and sew it around. So the reason for me doing this live is to show you how sewing is fun, and sewing could be very relaxing, of course, therapeutic, of course. But again, you could actually start a project and finish a project. You know, many students or many, sewing lovers, hobbyists would start a project and it's very hard to finish. So I myself sometimes do that. So I'm actually guilty of what I'm actually saying. But again, it's always a fun thing to start a project and finish it, done, and move on to the next project. So I wanted to do it live itself to show you that, you could do it as well. We could all do it, right? We could all start a project, very easy, start a project, complete it, and get on with our day. For all my sewing lovers there. All right, so we see it here now. We know how we put it together. Now I'm just gonna sew it all the way around 1/2 inch, okay? So I'm gonna push my machine back here. And then we're gonna go 1/2 inch, take out our pin as we sew all the way around. Okay, guys? All right, so let's go. So I'm using my Singer heavy duty sewing machine here. I've been using it for a while with my beginners. It's been really, it's a very beginner's friendly machine. Just to let you guys know in general. Okay, so let's sew. So 1/2 inch all the way around. Stop, take out your pin. Very, very important. 1/2 inch all the way around. Stop. I think I have the pin on the other side here. Take out my pins. There we go. Oh, sorry, I put the pin on the other side, which is fine. Just gonna know to stop and take out my pins. Stop, take out my pins. And always put your pins in a pin cushion. So continue. If you happen to sew over the pin, just make sure you take your time because the pin could easily break the needle. Okay, sometimes I do that all the time, just to let you guys know. All right, so we almost finished with the half part of the bucket hat. And guys, it's the same way for the other side. I'm going to only do one side like I mentioned on this live today, but it's the same method you follow for the other side. There's no difference here. There's nothing strange. It's just that I'm doing one side, but it's the exact same method for the other side. Okay, and I'm going to pull it out here. Pull it out as I go along here. All right. There you go. All done. Okay, so I'm going to trim out all my threads, making sure that my thread is out of the way. Okay, so let's open it up now and see where we are. Actually, I had missed a pin here. Okay, so this is where we are right now. See? There you go. So this is where we are. So the next piece we have to put on now is the top of the hat, so the bucket hat, the top itself. All right, and this is what we're going to go ahead and do now. Okay, so again, we have our notches here, which would actually help us big time. So this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to put it down like this, right? We have the bottom, right? And then I'm going to just going to get my notch. And keep in mind, we're going to go, of course, right sides to right sides again. So this here, going to go here, right sides to right sides, and I'm going to pin. Okay, so I'm going to take this side here, and I'm going to bring it over to this side, and I'm going to bend it. Okay, so I'll take this side, and I'm going to bend it because, again, I want the right sides to right sides, right? So I'm going to bend this here. I'm going to come here, right sides to right sides, and I'm going to turn it. I'm going to actually see what I do here. So I fold it here, and then I'm going to just go inside now. I'll bring it out, so I could just pin all the way around. So I still have it this way, right sides to right, so that you can see. But the notch really, really help you to get it on point. Okay. Now this notch here, again, I'm going to come right by my seam here, and I'm just going to match it up, the notch by the seam, and I'm going to match it up nicely. Again, I want to make sure that my seam match up nicely with my notch. And it's the same thing on this side. Again, you want to open up the seam. If it's closed, open it up nicely. And I'm going to match the seam to this notch here. So notch makes life very easy in this case. In general, trust me. All right. So now I have the challenge here. Now this could be a little challenge when you're sewing it around. Okay. So you have to, I'm pinning it, sorry. So you just have to take your time and pin. You may find little pleats because it's a circle. Take your time and just pin it nicely, neat for neat, right? So make sure you have edge for edge going around like this, edge for edge going around like this. All right. Take your time, pin it around, pin it around, pin it around to make sure that you're evenly when you sew. Okay, so I'm going to move to this other side. And again, guys, like I mentioned, I make this one is the same method. There's no difference. Once you follow the pattern, you cut it out. It would give you how many you need to cut itself. Interfacing, if you don't have interfacing, you could always try a bucket hat itself first without interfacing. I would have eventually a link below to show we could get lightweight interfacing. You can get heavyweight interfacing, but I would say take lightweight because you know, it's a light hat. It's not that heavy. If you want it heavier, you could definitely go ahead and get heavier weight interface. So again, I am just pinning it around. I'm almost there. Almost there. Pinning is very important. Or you could, if you have fabric clips, like I mentioned, it's fantastic as well. Okay. So all this could be Christmas gift, guys. All this could be fantastic gift you could give for the holiday season. And of course, that kind of save you because you make it. You just take the time. You just take some time. You make it instead of you buying it. And of course, you could buy as well. But it's so precious when you actually make something and give it as a gift. It's fantastic. I can tell you that for sure. All right. So we're almost here. Still pinning. Almost there. Still pinning. Almost there. Now, if, for instance, when you're pinning, you find little extra pleats, extra, you could always just lightly pleat it, or you could actually just stretch the fabric a little to make sure you get, like me, everything was evenly for me. But again, if you come across where there's a little bit of pleat, don't panic. You could always stretch the fabric or you could pleat it in. It's not a big deal. Okay. All right. So let's do the last straw to complete this part of the hat. Again, I'm going to do 1/2 inch all the way around because I'm making it for adult size. If you are making it for a kid, or toddler, you could follow the measurement. And again, you could follow the cutoff measurement and still do 1/2 inch seam allowance in general. All right, let's go. So 1/2 inch all the way around. Take your time, take out your pins as you go. Take out your pin as you go. So it is a circle you're going around. So you just do have to, and sometimes it twists a lot. So just gonna, because I lift it up, I'm gonna do a back stitch again to make sure I have it settled. Okay, good. So you must stay on the line, whether it's on a straight line or you're in a circle, you have to stay on your 1/2 inch guide. Okay, I have to move it up a lot. So this just, you do have to take a little bit of time because sometimes circles could be, you know, a challenge to go around and to keep it on the line, keep it straight. But again, practice, and you'll get it for sure. All right. So when you're sewing, always feel your way through to make sure that you're not sewing mistakes to the other pieces of fabric, like on the other piece of the hat. So I get that sometimes. You may sew and think everything is well, and then when you realize you make a big mistake because you sew extra pieces of the hat we're not supposed to, and you take it out. So it just requires you to take time, that's all. Take your time. Just take your time. Sewing is, you have to have patience, that's for sure. You have to have a lot of patience itself to make your art come out to life. All right, so I'm almost quarter way through. It's going. I think I skipped some of the pins here. So I'm going, take out the pins, take out the pins. There you go. So it's going very well. And sometimes it moves, so just be careful. If it moves and your needle is up, just make a little back stitch because you don't want any hole in your hat when you're complete. So if it moves and your needle is up, I will do a little back stitch and continue. Okay, so there you go. All right. Okay, all done. Fantastic. Okay. So again, just assess, make sure all pins is removed. I still have a pin here. And always trim your thread before you move to the next level. It's very, very important. Okay. So any long thread, because when you have long thread, it kind of help you tie up in the machine, and then you have to stop and retread. Sometimes, not all the time, of course, but again, always trim out your thread once you complete the section. So we're almost there, which is good. You could go ahead and relax the seam here. Relax the seam, just do a little notches on the very top. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys here. So just be careful though, okay? Just do a little relaxing of the seam. Be careful, relaxing the seam. Okay, you don't want to sew through you don't want to cut through the thread. Then you have to pretty much go ahead and make a bigger seam, or, you know, you don't want to get yourself any headache. So I'm just doing a little nip here just to relax because it's a circle. So relax it. And when I turn it, it gives a little bit of, you know, relaxation to the seam, and I could be able to turn everything nicely. Okay. All right, good. Okay. So here now, I'm going to turn it around. You could go ahead and iron it, guys. All right. So this is this part here. So you can see it's the exact same thing like I mentioned. There's no difference with this one. This I saw it before, and this one. Okay, so this is the tricks of the trade. Now you could iron it down. I wouldn't iron right now. I would iron it actually at the very, very end, and I'll show you guys. All right, so I'm going to take this one here now. Right, I'm going to touch right sides to right side. Just make sure you always remember right sides to right side. So this is it here. I'm going to turn this one. You could turn any one. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to turn this one on the wrong side again, and I'm going to cover it over this one here. Just make sure that you match up the seams. Remember, say we have two seams on both sides, right? Make sure you match up the seam nicely. So I'm going to take this one here, match up the seam very nicely, very nice and pretty. And I'm just going to tuck it down, right? And then I'm going to pin it all the way around, but I'm going to leave an opening, okay? Because I need, in order to open my, and you need to turn and then seal it down and all that. So I am going to pin it here. So again, seam to seam, very important to make sure you match up your seam really nice and pretty. Okay. So I'm going to do this here. Do this here. Okay, good. Now I'm going to also match up my seam here as well. Okay. So I'm going to match up my seam here on this side. So I'm going to open it up. Hopefully it can open nicely for me. All right. And then I match the seam really nice and pretty here. Okay. And again, I'm just going to look just to make sure it's matched nicely. Okay. All right. So match it up nicely here. And I'm going to make sure it's matched nicely there. Okay. Now I am going to pin one side fully. Okay. And then the other side, I'm going to definitely leave an opening. Okay. So I'm going to just kind of pin it space out. You could pin it closer. Okay. Just to make sure you have everything pinned nice and neatly done. So here, see, I'm pinning it here. Just pinning the brim together. All right. Again, you could always get the pattern below. Guys, if you like this video, I'm doing this live. I'm trying to see if I can do more live. And if anyone finds value, you could actually just leave a like for this video. I'll be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right. So there you go. So I'm going to come all the way to here. Okay. And then I'm going to leave. You could leave your opening could be as big as you want it to. So I'm going to probably leave a 3-inch opening. I think that's, or maybe a 3.5-inch opening, right? I think that should be good for me. All right. So I'm going to leave a 3-inch opening here. Okay. And you know what I usually tell my students to do, because I do teach classes in studio. I do teach online classes as well. Although I haven't set it up on my website fully as yet, because we all starting back in January. But for those who are in Brampton area, we are moving our location to Brampton. And I always tell my students, do double pin so you don't forget. So I'm going to do it as well. So I'm going to start here, go all the way around, and I'm going to finish here. All right, so let's get started. Again, I'm going to do 1/2 inch seam allowance. 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. All right, and take out my pins as I sew. So I'm going to take my first double pin here, and I'm going to sew. Okay, so I did, again, always take out your pin, especially as a beginner. Take out your pin. If I make a little boo-boo with the line, sometimes it turns. I mean, I could manage that, and I want to make sure that you guys do it properly. Take your time, okay, as you sew. Again, when you're going around a circle, it's not pretty, it's not easy, but again, it's doable. Take out your pin as you sew. I open it. So you see, I do a back stitch because I lift up the presser foot and I didn't bring the needle down. So that's just a little tips there. When you're sewing, every time you lift up the presser foot, the needle is up, do a little quick back stitch and you're good to go. All right, so let's go. All right, all good. I'm coming home, stretch. Take out all my pins here. Okay. All right, so I'm coming up to my double pin now. Fantastic. I'll take out my double pins and I'm almost there. Okay, so I just see a little thing that I need to do here. The pin was in the way. Okay. So this is the correct little mistake here, that's all. All right, again, this is live, so anything could be expected. All right, so now you have your bucket hat here. Right, now I'm gonna just do notches in the bottom. So just notches in the bottom, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around here. Make sure you don't cut the thread in any way, shape, or form. All right, good. So now I'm gonna use this opening here. Make sure that I don't have any pins sticking out, and I want to take my time and knead it through. Okay, so I'm gonna knead it through nicely. So we're gonna knead it through. Again, make sure all your threads is out. Just take your time and knead it. Knead it out, knead it out. Everything would come out nicely. Everything would come out. Just take your time, that's all. Okay, so we have it out. Fantastic. Now, let's say if you make it and you realize it's a little bit too big, you could always go back in and reduce some of the seams to make it according to your likeness. Okay, all right. So this is it here. This is it right here. And this is how it is here on one side. And then the other side, this is what I did before. This is the exact same thing. So the last thing I'm going to do here is before I seal it through, I'm going to iron it. So I'm going to open it out like this, and I'm going to iron the seam down. So you want to iron the seam out here. So I have my iron and my iron here. was a little bit cold because he was just waiting for me. So let's hope I can get it. So just iron out the seam between the two patterns here. Iron it out nicely. Right? So because I want the crease to come out really tailored and nice. All right. And then also with the opening, you want to make sure that the 1/2 inch here is all ironed nicely as well. So you could actually just fold it down. So you fold it down like this. Fold it down this way, fold it down that way. See if my iron is hot now. It was just waiting for me. Okay. So again, guys, this is a very easy DIY project you can make to match your outfit. Let's say I'm planning to do more as I go along, because I think a lot of us, we start project and never really finish the project. And I think we could actually just do it in one shot, one go, and get on with our day. All right. So if you need the pattern, guys, there's a link to the pattern below. You could definitely, if you're interested in, so you could actually just, connect with us, contact us. I'm not sure if the iron is hot enough for me. So I don't know if it had, yeah, it's not hot enough for me. Let's hold on. Oh, it actually had, the light have came off, that's why. So making sure, because once you get that middle part iron nicely, put some steam, put some water in the iron. Then we go shh, and we will really bring out that steam there. Okay, so this is it here, all nicely done. Okay, it's getting hotter now, so I'm just getting out the steam here. I'm really doing this because I want the both sides to be nice and tailored. Okay, I'm gonna just leave it like that. All right, so lastly, but not least, you could do it on both sides. It doesn't really matter which part you put it in. You could put it on this side. I'm gonna just put it on this side because this is the one I make, right? I put it on this side. And the reason why I asked you to do the seams like this, because you kind of want to get the seam to actually just release itself. So it's a good way to do it like that. And then now I am going to iron the hat round. Again, of course, if you're doing it for yourself, you take your time and you just iron it, because you want to make sure everything is nice and tailored. There you go. Okay, so you want to make sure it's nice. So you see, you want to make sure it's even up like this, right? So you want to see this side for itself and that side for itself. You don't want to see it lapping over like this. You want to make sure that it is, when you turn this way, that way, it's all nice and neat. That's what you want. Okay. Oh, it's hot. It's hot now, burning my finger. All right. All right. So continue here. The line is hot. I could do that for sure. All right. Earlier it wasn't hot at all. Okay. So we're gonna go down here. So once you think you iron, especially the brim part really well, right? Make sure it's nice and tailored. Then I'm gonna rest this aside. Lastly, you could take the opening here. You could take a pin and just seal it through. Make sure it's 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Just seal that through here. The pin, and there you go. Now I'm gonna sew it down. I'm gonna make sure I sew it down to the very edge here. You could do a couple of sewing now. You could sew down a couple of lines over and over. So I'm gonna do just a few lines to show you. Let's move on to the very last stage here. Okay, so I'm gonna close it down here. I'm gonna start from right here. And how I'm gonna do it, guys. The edge of my presser foot is my guide. I'm not using a 1/2 inch guide anymore. The edge of the presser foot to the edge of this here, that is my actual guide. And I'm gonna go around. The first time, I could even move the because I have the opportunity to move the needle position closer to the edge. So I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna take out my 2 pins. One of the head came out and the pin didn't come out. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and just seal it down here. And again, my road is the very edge of this fabric. Okay. And you could always set it as you sew. Settle 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 as you sew. So just settle it, make sure it's nice and tailored. Settle as you sew. Okay. There you go. Okay. Okay, settle nicely as you sew. It's called settle and sew. Okay. All right. So once I come to one end here, see, I sit it down nicely here. So I'm gonna just do another layer. That's all. I'll do another layer. Could do 2 layer, 3 layer. I'm just gonna do 1 more layer. And the other layer now I'm gonna use a guide for this thread here. Okay. So this thread here, okay. So this thread, I'm gonna actually go ahead and use it as a guide. So this, I'm gonna use this as my guide itself. So, okay. I use it as a guide. So that is that's where I'm watching for the edge of my press up will be on that, would be by that seam there. Just have to take your time. Done. All done. All done. All right. So let me go ahead and just trim up my threads. Again, guys, you could always go ahead and do another one on another one. You could do 4 lines if you want. I'm just going to do 2 for the live. Okay. So this is my hat. So I'm going to bring my camera up a bit here. If you guys know I had one. Oh gosh, let me just put my other thing here. All right. So this is it here. This is how it is. We came out. Just make sure you take out all your threads and all that. And I'm going to take, see, this is very nice, very tailored. I'm going to take this one out and I'm going to put this one on. We made it live, right? It's very nice. I think so, at least. So always take out the thread. So you see the seams here for the hat. You see the seams here? You could always go around, because for this one, I think I go around a couple times, right? I go around go around 4 times, right? So you go around a couple times, go away this side, right? Let's see here. And if you want to weigh the other side, you could definitely weigh the other side too. So you have 2 hats. So one day you weigh 1 hat, the other day you weigh another hat. Or if you want, you could just start it up, depends on your garment you're wearing. And both sides could work out just fine. All right, so I hope this is a helpful tutorial. For those who will be watching the live or the replay, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is, of course, Jaleese. I'm the owner and founder of Infinite Modesty Design. I love teaching how to sew. See you on my next live. Ta-ta, take care. Remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Take care. Bye-bye.